Welcome to Fight Talk Podcast with your boy, the What's Next Kid here. Today's Fight Talk is about Bernard Hopkins. Hopkins' boxing career didn't start off like most boxers. Hopkins went to jail for armed robbery when he was just 17 years old. In jail, Hopkins joined the prison's boxing program and became state champion. He learned discipline from his time in prison. Hopkins served 56 months in prison and was released in 1988. The same year he was released, he had his first professional boxing fight. Hopkins lost this fight, but he learned from this loss and took it as a lesson. Hopkins went on a streak of 20 wins, then fought Wayne Powell for the IBF USBA Middleweight Championship. This fight was light work for Hopkins. He TKO'd Powell in the first round of the fight. Hopkins' next fight, he defended his IBF USBA title by unanimous decision. Then the executioner, the alien, fought Roy Jones Jr. for the IBF Middleweight Championship. The executioner lost this fight by unanimous decision. After this loss, the executioner went back on a winning streak. 4 fights later, he fought for the IBF Middleweight World Championship. The executioner won this fight by split decision. After this fight, Hopkins kept ripping through his opponents. He kept defending his IBF title. After ripping through everyone, Hopkins fought for the WBC Middleweight World Championship against Keith Holmes. Hopkins won this fight by unanimous decision. The executioner, the alien, Bernard Hopkins, became the WBC World Champ and the IBF World Champ. After this fight, Hopkins kept doing what he does best, beating his opponents up. 5 fights after Hopkins won his IBF and WBC World Championships, he fought Oscar De La Hoya for the WBO Middleweight Championship. Hopkins won by knockout in the 9th round of the fight. Bernard Hopkins is called the executioner for a reason. Now Bernard Hopkins has the WBO and WBC and IBF world titles. Hopkins' next fight, he successfully defended his IBF, WBC, WBO belts by unanimous decision. Hopkins' next fight, he fought Jermaine Taylor and lost by split decision. Jermaine Taylor and Hopkins had a rematch. Hopkins lost by unanimous decision. Bernard Hopkins' next fight, after these 2 losses, he fought for the IBO light heavyweight title. He won by unanimous decision. Hopkins got a chance to fight Roy Jones Jr. for a second time in 2010. This fight was not for any titles, but it didn't matter because Hopkins got the win by unanimous decision and tied the score to one win for him and 1 win for Roy. After this win on Roy Jones Jr., the executioner was back to beating the brakes off his opponents. His next fight, he fought for the WBO World Championship and IBO Championship. This fight was a majority draw. They got a rematch and Hopkins won by unanimous decision. Next, Hopkins fought Chad Dawson for the WBC title. This fight was declared a no contest, so they had a rematch, and Hopkins lost by a majority decision. After this loss, the executioner fought for the IBF World Championship belt against Travis Cloud. Hopkins won by unanimous decision. The executioner went to defend the IBF title and then fought for the IBF light heavyweight titles. Hopkins won this fight by split decision. The executioner, the alien, Bernard Hopkins, had 2 more fights before he retired. His last fight was Joe Smith Jr., my brother. Hopkins got KO'd in the 8th round. Hopkins' boxing record is 55 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws, 32 huge wins coming by the way of knockout. That's all I gotta say on today's Fight Talk. make sure to hit that subscribe button and that like button. And make sure for Instagram, smash that follow button. The What's Next Kid out.